Cibávit fruménti, allelúia. Petra, melle, In the Diocese of the United States, this Sunday will be the Feast of the Most Holy Body and Blood of the Lord, formerly and popularly referred to as Corpus Christi. We have an interesting thing about the propers, the chants that go with this solemnity. The solemnity was instituted in the 13th century, and in fact the texts for the office were composed by St. Thomas Aquinas, including a number of hymns that are still popular today. Now, that being the case, these chants that we sing, most of them were composed perhaps as early as the 7th century, certainly by the 10th century, so many centuries before the institution of the solemnity of Corpus Christi. So where does this one come from? Was it composed newly for the solemnity or not? In fact, Cibávit was one of the original chants in the earliest manuscripts. It's already there, but it was sung traditionally up until the change of the calendar after Vatican II on the Monday after Pentecost, which even today is a holiday in many European countries. So this was already a very important set of proper chants, but it was connected, as I say, with Pentecost rather than the solemnity of the Most Holy Body and Blood of the Lord. This gives us, as it were, some food for thought. And it's only after the coming of the Holy Spirit and, as it were, the ordination of the apostles, the gift of the Holy Spirit to the apostles on Pentecost, that the Church's sacramental system comes fully into being. And until this point, we see the revelation of Christ in the breaking of the bread in several of the episodes after the resurrection. But after his ascension, Christ now comes to us in a new mode, revealed by the Holy Spirit in the life of the Church, especially in the Eucharist. So when the priest at the altar says the words of institution, he is acting in persona Christi. So Christ is acting through the person of the priest to confect the sacrament. But before even that happens, the priest invokes the Holy Spirit in the epiclesis or epiclesis, whichever you like to call it. The priest holds his hands over the elements and asks that the Holy Spirit sanctify them. So we see the close connection between the gift of the Holy Spirit and the Eucharist. So it's not surprising that then this Introit, which refers to the Eucharist, was first of all placed on the day after Pentecost, and second of all then used when this new solemnity was instituted in the 13th century to begin the Mass of Corpus Christi. Let's sing for you the second half, just the beginning, Et de petra, melle, saturávit. We'll sing this much for you. It's always tricky to look at the chants for what we call word painting, where the notes, the melody somehow gives us an indication of the meaning of the words. But I think in this case there's some of that going on. We have this very strong repeated note on the word petra, rock. Et de petra has the feeling of stability, immobility, rockness, is followed by this word honey, melle. Melle. It's a very different sort of figure for melle rather than petra. And then saturávit. He filled them. And generally speaking, in the language of Gregorian chant, when we want to give the impression of completeness or fullness, we have large intervals from top to bottom. So he fills them with honey from the rock. Listen to this one more time, then we're going to sing the whole thing for you. So I hope you can actually hear that. And it's good to be aware of some of these codes, as it were, in the chant, so that we can appreciate more clearly the words, especially if we don't speak Latin all that well. It can help us to be reminded of not only the definition of the word, but the meaning of the word, and rock and honey and so on. So we're going to sing for you one more time the entire Introit, Cibávit, and we wish you a happy solemnity of Corpus Christi. Cibávit.